The neighbouring country, of course, Poland, is now having to gear up for next year's presidential elections as the current president, President Duda, is term limited. The country's right-wing opposition party has chosen an historian as its candidate. He'll go up against Warsaw's centrist mayor, Rafał Trzaskowski. I sat down with the mayor of Warsaw to discuss his policy agenda, and that includes, crucially, Ukraine.
We are taking most of the responsibility ourselves because we're spending almost 5% of our GDP on defense. So we're the best pupil in the class when it comes to the European members of NATO. When it comes to refugees, you know, we have more than 1.5 million after the war in Poland, 150, 160,000 in Warsaw alone. And of course, you know, we're prepared to keep on helping Ukraine because these guys are really fighting for our freedom and for the stability of the transatlantic world.
Where do you see the positioning now we've got Donald Trump coming into the White House?
I think that Trump is a realist. So I don't think that he can afford the end of the war that Putin will be able to sell as his victory, because that will really weaken the United States of America and weaken NATO. And at the end of the day, all the enemies...
Will it weaken him? Because if you're Donald Trump and you want to make Putin as a friend, then giving Putin something right at the beginning does put him in your camp in a favourable way.
Yeah, you can't put Putin in your camp because, I mean, he's a bully. He just understands strengths. And at the end of the day, you know, some people are saying that Putin attacked Ukraine because he saw the way in which Americans left Afghanistan. So, I mean, if the end of this game will be sold by Putin as his huge victory, then the United States will really be weakened. And that's you know, our argument that we are making to the new American administration.
Where will you fit into this? Because you are running for presidency of Poland. The current president has in many ways obstructed the Prime Minister in a lot of the policies that the Prime Minister was elected to introduce, correct?
True
LGBT, social welfare, shifting things back to the centre, the judiciary, all the things that Prime Minister Tusk came into, he's not been able to do.
Oh, he's doing quite a few of the things he promised. Yeah, but I mean, of course, you're right that the current president is blocking some of our initiatives.
So how will you change that?
Well, if I were to be elected, you know, of course I'm going to collaborate with Donald Tusk. I've known him for years, and on most of the issues we're on the same page. At the same time, you know, the president can energize the government because he has the right of initiative. And of course, I mean, the most important thing is helping out in strengthening Ukraine and in making sure that the allies remain strong and that we send a very strong signal that there is no fatigue, that we keep on helping Ukraine.
Let me put it in simplistic terms that I sort of work in. A presidency under you would shift Poland more back to the centre in terms of the political stance that the country, less Viktor Orban, more Ursula von der Leyen.
Well, I mean, it will definitely put us in the center, but, you know, on defense, on helping Ukraine, we were on the same page, even with the populist conservatives, when it comes to helping Ukraine and when it comes to our defense spending. But, of course, you know, we are much more credible on the international scene. We're able to make alliances. We're able to make our voice heard within NATO and within the European Union much more than the conservatives, than the populists.
What do you think is the priority for Poland?
Well, I mean...
and when I say this, I want to put Ukraine to one side, if I may, even though that's very difficult, because what happens in Ukraine follows on everywhere. But I'm thinking about social justice, LGBT, community, its role in Europe, the whole question of the rule of law, which the last administration and the current president has been at odds with the centre for the last, goodness knows how many years.
Listen, we are going to do all of that, but I mean, you need to listen to the people, especially after the American presidential campaign. So it's security, then it is economy, because that's what people are talking about, you know, the standard of living and so on and so forth. Then it's the social welfare. Those are the things that people are focusing on, and that's what I'm going to focus on during the campaign.
As a social liberal, do you have to be careful that you still heave or hove to a conservative agenda, bearing in mind what you've just said? Donald Trump got elected because everybody felt it had gone too far.
Well, I'm a centrist, and of course I will be portrayed, and I've always been portrayed as a guy from the left by the populists. People do not believe in it. I'm a centrist, and of course, you know, I have this great admiration for tradition, for Polish tradition. So I'm able to also speak to the people who vote conservative.
Last question. Will you get on with Donald Trump?
Of course. We have an alliance with the United States of America, not just with one administration.
He's a transactional individual person who likes to have personal relations. Will you be able to do that?
Listen, I mean, we are buying American equipment. I mean, we are providing security for Europe. We will be, on the same page on many issues, I hope.